We're back again. You're listening again for some reason. This is episode 16 of the Bluegrass Race Hub. We got a very irritated man way over to my right. I don't know which direction it'll be to you. Keith Hackney. We got Blake Hensley making his debut. We got the HMFIC Jason. This is a day late because Jason wanted to make sure I saw every second of my Bengals getting beat last night. So let's do the damn thing.
Bluegrass Race Hub coming at you guys. We've got some special guests with us tonight, as he pointed out. Tonight was an interesting event. We're going to cover some stuff from last week before we jump into that. Let's go ahead and start it off. Trucks at Gateway last week. Alex, what do you remember about that? Do you remember? I know Jonah Colbert was the winner, and I owe Jonah a huge apology for messing up tonight on race control. He was in the middle of saying something, and I accidentally clicked my mouse, and when I did, it brought up the menu, and when I went to click away and get off of that, for some reason it disqualified him. I immediately tried to rectify the issue, but it didn't happen. But anyways, going back to what I was saying, trucks at Gateway. Colbert won that one. What else do we have going on?
We had let's see. Well, Barrett Morton took a P2, who he's kind of on a hot streak here recently. Had a good finish tonight as well. I know he's in. I'm pretty sure he's inside the top 10 of points at this point, to say points a bunch. Taylor Peacock, after we let him know on the last episode that he needs to start showing up for races, absolutely showed up, got himself a P3, followed by Peyton Hubbard and Gary Jaworski. I'm not going to run down through the whole field, but it was a short track truck race. What can he say? There were incidents all over the place. Just inside the top 10, there's 3 guys with 12 incidents apiece: Gary, Bobby, Justin Holt, and then several other guys. There's Will Weber with 19. Takahashi had 16. Sean Kaiser had 20. It was what you expect when you come to a short track, I think, for the most part. For me personally, it didn't go well. I ended up finishing 20. I don't even remember how the race ended for me, to be honest with you. I'm still in tonight's stuff, but I was 40 laps down, so I know I got wrecked at some point and blown to smithereens, I'm sure. I can't remember.
9 cautions last week. We had way more tonight, but yeah, so 9 cautions last week. Trying to remember, I know I picked Gary to win last week. Obviously, he finished P5, which is one of his best finishes of the season.
Yep.
I don't remember who else we had picked in that last week. I just can't, for some reason, it's completely blocked out. Like last week didn't even happen.
I know. After tonight, I'm sorry to everybody that had a good run last week or had something they probably specifically wanted us to talk about, because I'm drawing a damn blank right now.
I'm telling you,
embarrassing.
I know Colbert led 36 laps. Morton 15. Peacock did have a good run. Peacock's been on a little bit of ever since we told him to get in the races. I mean, he's got the win. He's got a P3, and then tonight he had a good finish tonight. Speaking of tonight, need to get that stuff put up there as quickly as possible, but that way we can all look at it. Going on, let's just go ahead and skip on over to Xfinity. Figure out what's going on.
We could talk to these other 2 fellows about it. I know they'll maybe know a little bit more than we do.
Yeah, so last week's Xfinity winner was Keith. Keith wanted to ask, by the way, what's up with the post on Tuesdays? He said you've not been making any posts for him. He sent you a picture. Thought I'd bring that up real quick.
Redundant. Yeah, what's up with that, buddy?
So
I told Blake, and now everyone's listening. So Tuesdays so my wife, she said she has not missed not one single race that I've run since I joined this league. So big shout out to my wife. And what that means is on Tuesday night, that is my night to hang out with her so she doesn't divorce me.
Smart man.
We sit down, we watch a few episodes of Yellowstone, and then I check the Discord the next day, and then if there are pictures, which you did send them to me earlier that day, and then you got them up before I got to it, but I know I've said this in the Share Pics channel before. Even if it's not race win, if you've got a fire ass paint scheme that you want the world to see, that's where I get 99% of the content. Yep, I see it behind you. I mean, you can count on me for a shit post here and there. I know some people like it. Some people probably think it's stupid as hell, but most of what I want to feature on our Facebook is content from the league, whether it's your schemes, your wins. Well, I don't. It can be in other races. I can whatever. If you're doing stuff that's iRacing related, you can DM it to me. You can share it in that channel, whatever avenue. Get it to me, and I'll make sure you get your 15 minutes.
Well, post race thoughts is popping off right now. Totally different subject.
We'll get there, Jason. We'll get there.
Okay, that's fine.
We'll get there. We got to keep, because if we get off on it now, then we ain't gonna talk about this race. We ain't gonna talk about the Cup race. So let's truck through these.
All right,
and then we'll get to it.
Let's start off. Blake, tell us about your experience last week at Gateway, bud.
Well, before we ever get to the Cup aspect of things, I know listening to the last episode of the podcast, one of you two picked me to win the Gateway race, and it never goes well when anybody decides to choose me to win a race.
I picked you the week before. I feel like
I always go out and show my ass like as soon as possible every time somebody picks me to win. So that's exactly what I did on lap 2. Had a little episode coming into turn 3, about to go 3 wide, backed out of it with 2 of my teammates in front of me, and missed my braking zone, stabbed the brakes, spun out, and wrecked myself and a couple more other cars. So rebounded from that race to a 14th place finish, but obviously that was Keith's race to lose, and he did not do that. So that was about my take on the Xfinity race last week.
Keith, what do you want to weigh in on the Xfinity from last week at Gateway?
I loved it. That's all there is to it, man. I put in a lot of practice and obviously several sessions with you, and
oh God, don't fucking say that. Don't say that.
Oh yeah.
Hey, that's our one F-bomb right there. Jason just spent it because we're keeping it PG-13 now. So
my bad.
That's.
But yeah, man, we was fast in practice and went out for qualifying. Just missed my line a little bit, and Radburn, he's an animal when it comes to qualifying. I feel like I can't out qualify him to save my life, and
because he's running that 3 number, baby.
Well, yeah, I might have to change mine to that, but or 369 maybe, but yeah, man, just we was working together there for the first segment of the race, and then after I was able to get by him, clean air, dude. I love that track, and just that last green flag pit, I did just same thing I said in the interview. Like I didn't know he was in front of me. I thought it was Bryce who short pitted, and he was in front of me. And when we went across the line, I seen Rapper in front of me like by so many seconds. I'm just like, what? Like what happened? He was like, he was like, I only took 2 tires. I was like, well, if we stay green, you might be in trouble. And but at the same time, man, he held his own. Like I legit had to drive my tail off.
Oh, you could say ass. We just get one F word because Jason told me to chill out because when I talk normally, that's every other word. So I gotta watch myself. So now you gotta watch yourself too.
Oh, okay. Well, in other words, I had to drive my ass off to catch him, and then as I was running up on him, and I didn't know a lap car had fresh tires, and he passed us like we was sitting still. I was like, hold up. I was like, there's nobody for position should be that close, and but he kind of showed me the line because Radburn was gonna block the bottom, which hell I would too, and I just sort of just tucked in behind the lap car and just smooth sailing from there, man. I was just so happy to get that first win, or no, second win, just out of the way, man. I've had shit luck this whole season, and I feel like I should be doing a lot better in Xfinity than I do the Cup because I don't ever drive them. So yeah, man, I'm just building up some momentum, and here we are again at Nashville, one of my good tracks, and we're gonna put on a show tomorrow night.
Well, So we also have to cover the Cup Series from Gateway. So let's take a look at that. I'm drawing a damn blank, man.
This one I do remember a little bit more because I might have been.
Oh, it was Adkins.
Maybe the highlight of the season.
That was a hell of a race. I do remember now. I completely because it just hit me. Mikey was leading that bitch, and Jonathan made an incredible last corner pass. Jonathan Adkins. So hell of a job by Jonathan Adkins to pull that off. Go ahead, kick us off with that, Healy, and go tell us a little bit about the Cup Series race.
Yeah, so a different perspective than you might get from Keith and Blake for this particular race. Like I've talked about previously on here with me running Cup, I'm learning. I'm trying to learn from these guys that have been doing it longer, that have more speed, or just straight up more talented at this point. It is a track that I like. And like I've said, I do like these cars. I hadn't raced these cars at this track until this. And I had a fairly solid run going. I thought I was going to end up in the top 10 to 15 somewhere. I was taking my time, just trying to stay out of the messes as they transpired on track. And I think with 3-ish to go, I entered 3 wide. Roger Pierce threw an aggressive move on the bottom. I'm not saying that he shouldn't have, because we're at the end of the race, and that's the time for that stuff. And put me in the middle in a position I didn't want to be. And we cleared the guy on the outside, but in doing so, we caught another person on the outside who kind of touched the wall a little bit. And
Who was that? Off. I don't remember who it was.
I can't remember, man. Not sure, but they had a front row seat because I tried to stay off of them. I was afraid they were going to bounce off the wall, and me and Roger got together, and it turned me, and then I hit another car, and then it super physicsed me into the inside wall, and Elon Musked it all the way to the moon. I was probably a good 50, 60 feet above the track, landed it on pit road, and
almost got your pit stall.
Oh, yep. I had to back up like 2 feet to take my repairs there.
Beautiful.
I was if it wasn't for such a cool wreck, I was going to be pretty pissed off about it, because I was headed towards a good run, and I ended up finishing like 28th or whatever because of that. But I learned a lot. I had a good run for the most part, and there was good racing all around. I mean, I didn't start up towards the front. I'm trying to think. I'll find it real quick. Yeah, I started 13th, which is, I think, kind of where I slot in the Cup Series at least, and I kind of hung out around there for the entire race. But I don't know. It was a highlight, and I went to the moon, and now I've got my astronaut wings, and no one else in the series does this season.
You guys want to weigh in on that a little bit, Blake?
Yeah, they were there.
Yeah, I was there for that. First off, I'll say Alex's wreck was absolutely beautiful. I've never seen anything like it in my life, and it was tremendous. I went back and watched that and was just awestruck. My race, I'm just like Alex. I really don't know as much as I'd like to know about the next gen car, so I kind of qualify where I can get, and try to learn throughout the race and apply it towards the later part. And in the Cup race, I did that for the most part, and I was coming on strong there in the last going of it. I got to racing Fritz pretty hard there towards the end of it, and we were neck and neck going into turn one. Kind of, I maybe overshot my braking zone a little bit. At the same time, Matt in the 15 was trying to get out from behind a slower car in front of him, and of course we made contact. I got him sideways, got myself, Fritz sideways. We all wrecked into one and brought out a caution from there, and that dropped me back to, God, I don't even know where I was at, but I had a set of tires left. So I threw them on, and we had probably 20 something laps left to go in the race, and kept it clean for the rest of the going, and survived all the crazy restarts, and drove through all the mess to rack up a fourth place finish. And had that race probably gone one more lap, I would have been on the podium, if not close to winning. I feel like I had really good momentum going, coming to the checker flag there. So I don't know. All things considered, really good recovery. And like I said, no, hopefully no hard feelings to Matt or anybody involved in any of my mess. Like I say, I step on my dick all the time, especially in these next gen cars.
It's hard, man. It's hard to do that when it's so small too.
I know, and somehow I still find a way to do it. But yeah, it's one of those things.
Big feet, huh?
Yes, big feet. I'll get my shit together at some point. But just carry on.
Keith, what do you want to add anything to the cup race from last week? What happened to you there?
Well,
Well,
I don't really remember where I qualified, honestly.
hold on. Let me
'Cause I think
find
I missed my
you.
line.
You qualified P4.
Yep.
About the same, yeah, that's same as Xfinity. But I try to play a different strategy, and I mean, it was working. But I felt like every time I dropped to the rear after pit, yeah, it's so hard to pass. Like, it's so hard without like dirtying people up and trying to come up through there. Then I get some momentum. I get up to the top 5 or second or whatever it was, have to pit. And some people are on different strategies and they don't pit. So here I am back in 27th again, having to try to come back up through there. And I mean, all bullshit aside, I felt like I was very quick if I could have just got some clean air, but I couldn't do it without or having to dirty people up to move them, and obviously, with my just
Reputation.
yeah, and who I am, God forbid, I even just piss on somebody as I drive by them, um, but other than that, man, I am just like y'all. I mean, I'm learning the cars. I don't know shit about them, and obviously, we're all getting better each and every week, and just gonna have to just stop and grind a little bit, man, and just put in some work, like I said about the Xfinity, and just try to move forward. That's all we can do. I mean, hell,
So,
it's a learning process.
so Keith, what I would say, and I'll be very modest here. I'm not putting myself on your level necessarily, but the past 4 weeks I've had the start in the back in the truck series, and when you're navigating through slow traffic, when you're at a track that you're killing it at, like when I was at Coda or even tonight, stuff like that, it's so hard, especially in these shorter races, to be patient and kind of matriculate your way through traffic. That's the thing I struggle with the most, and it seems like when you get put in those positions, you suffer from the same thing that I do, possibly. It's probably anybody when you got to start at the back and you're fast and you're back there with guys. And I'm not trying to knock the guys that are running at the back of the pack, because they're like us. You're learning, you're getting better every week, all that. But with especially on a short track like this, where entering corners, there's a certain amount of trust you have to have with the guys both in front of you and behind you to hit their marks. And if you've got a slow guy that's braking early, if you got a guy behind you that he's not used to being real tight to a cart in front of him, where he can't see his physical markers on the track or whatever he's going off of, it's difficult to put yourself in a position to where your race doesn't get jeopardized because of the people around you. And with that in your mind, you're trying to get through there as quickly as possible, and that can put you in even worse positions sometimes.
Yeah, and see, there at the latter part of that race, I mean, there again had another strong run coming up through there, and I think it was about 2 laps after a restart. I got tagged from behind. Can't think of his name. I think his car number's 95, maybe.
Schwartz.
Oh,
Yeah,
Schwartz.
Swords.
yep.
Yeah, he tagged me going into one, and I got completely sideways. And how I saved it, I don't know. I just kept it in fourth gear, and I just sort of tried to roll back in it, and I got passed by like I don't know 5 or 6 cars, and finally got my feet back up underneath me, and trying to drive back up through there. Then I ran up on uh Curtis, and I forgot who was in front of Curtis at the time, but I ran up on him so fast in turn 3, and instead of taking out, my teammate, I just locked him up and just cut to the wall. And I mean, it sucks, but at the same time, I'd rather just ruin my race and not everybody else's. So y'all
Yep,
remember that
that's
out there?
there are times when in that position you were sacrificing your race, but I know the feeling where if you get out of shape and you're seeing guys fly by you and you want to get back on track as quickly as possible and get back in the groove, and it's hard to when your tires are 300 degrees and you get into the next turn and the shit's sliding all over the track again because the tires are so hot with specifically with the short tracks. And it's I try to tell myself this, but I have other people. I have Dave will tell me, he's like, hey, it's there's gonna be 4, 5, 6 more cautions. You're gonna have your chance to get line back up, get the tires cooled off, that kind of stuff. And with some, I don't know, like the rookies in the league, I don't know how long they've been on iRacing. I don't know if they race in real life or any of the stuff, but more often than not, patience will be a virtue. What I mean, you might give up 5 spots now or whatever, but if you can just get on track and get in line and not wad your crap up there on a short track, there's probably going to be a yellow that comes at some point. It's going to put you back in position to start working forward. It's patience, and it's hard. Patience is a hard thing to do when what you're trying to do is drive 150 miles an hour.
100%, man. 100%.
I'll say personally, patience is one of those things that I'm still trying to figure out, especially being one of the new guys. Uh, that's one thing because I know I've got the speed. I know that I've got the talent, and a lot of times I just run out of it. And
And
it all comes down to patience. That's
uh,
I teach myself every single week.
I'll say for you, Blake, I'll just make an example. I know that you're 11 years younger than me. That's something that comes with time.
Yeah.
When I was your age, and I'm sounding like old man wisdom or whatever, but it's sometimes you just got to let it come to you instead of forcing the issue. And it's a hard lesson to learn. And we can talk about it and say we're about it, but when you're racing door to door with guys, it's hard to
be about it.
it's hard to concede positions at times. And
Yeah.
I've had that with the best of friends that I race against in this, and the worst of enemies. And it hurts either way because you don't want to let your buddy fly by, and you don't want to let the guy that you just can't stand fly by. But sometimes you let that guy slide by, and then you can slide into the groove and kind of get back in your rhythm. That more often than not, I've learned, and I still fight it every race when I end up in these positions. To sometimes it's let's push this battle a little farther down the road and see if they step on their own dick.
Yeah.
A lot of times they will. Just waiting, just being patient, waiting, putting a little
Yep.
pressure on. All right.
It's the moment we've been waiting for.
So, a quick rundown on our Xfinity points. These are post Gateway. In leader of the points is going to be Mr. James Silver's teammate of mine with 314. Second place goes to Adam Lancaster, up 2 with 302. Kyle Mays sits third with 298. Big shout out to Kyle. He's a friend of mine from an old league. He came in the same time as I have, running really good. Jim Ott's down 2 with 287. Had a bad run at Gateway, dropped him down. Radburn Shutter's another teammate, up 7 in 5th with 272. Michael Robinson in 6th, breaks dead even at 257.
Yeah, Michael.
Fritz. Go ahead, Michael. Yeah. Scott Fritz up 1 in 7th with 256. Myself, the 31 in 8th, up one with 252. One race short. First driver with 6 races. Hate I missed that race because I was leading the points at one point. But Shocker Stritch is tied with me for 8th. He is down 3 with 252. 10th is going to go to Jordan Slater with 247, down 3. And the special co-host, Keith Hagney, up plus 10, biggest gainer last week, up in 11th with 240.
All right, so let's see. From there, we got Tyler Evans in P12, Robert Maliki in 13, Alex Penn 14, Duranko 15. Hobbs is running out the top 16. Keith, if you want to go ahead and cover our Cup Series points for us.
Yeah. Good old teammate leading in these Cup Series, Curtis Preston, followed by another teammate, GT Hawkins. Brendan Holder coming in at 3rd. John Swartz in 4th. Old Huffmaster, he's in the top 5 here. That's pretty impressive for old Huffy. And Nick Mills, another teammate, Cornerstone, plus 2 this past week. In 6th, David Farmer lost a position this week to fall to 7th. We got old John Kinder, plus 2 here in 8th. Myself, after y'all's rage quitting, minus 2 here this week in 9th. And Peyton Hubbard, my NLR guy, rounding out the top 10, buddy.
Your rage quit was the week before. That was what was on the topic for the last podcast. Then we got Jonathan Atkins, last week's winner. He's in 11th right now. He went up 3. Matt Grenier in 12th. James Silver's 13th. Mikey Neal 14th. Sean Christian's 15th. And Josh Clemens is top 16, rounding out the top 16, tied with Roger Pierce and Travis Twitty. Oh, yeah, 3-way tie for 16th right now. So that's exciting.
Twitty.
Yeah, Twitty's doing really well in the Cup Series this season. He's struggling a little bit in the trucks, but doing really well in Cup. All right, so this is what everybody's been waiting for, is to get into the juicy details. We just finished up the Truck Series at Nashville Fairgrounds. So tonight was race number 2. Just to clarify what happened. So there's nothing that says that a driver's prohibited if they have 2 charters from racing down. Unfortunately, that's not something that the way it's written in the rule book, it doesn't come out like that. So since Dickhead here had 2 charters, he decided he wanted to race down a second race, and something he had previously asked, and I had said I'd have to get back to you. I mean, how long was it since you asked me? It's been forever ago, and I told you I'd get back to you. So tonight you came to me and said, "Hey, can I run down and I fill in for somebody in points?" I was like, "Yeah, I guess technically you can. You have one more race down since you have your other charter." It's, nobody had ever wanted to do that or whatever. So, but yeah, that's fine. I said, so you race tonight, obviously. So we had an issue early on. I don't know what lap it was, but you and Ron Morris kind of had a little racing deal, whatever. You kind of hit the bump off 2, washed up into him. He's pinching you down super hard. In my opinion, I just felt like it was just way too early for any of that BS from you or him, to be honest. What's your point of view on that? I guess what did I tell you? What did I tell you before the race? I told you it was going to start shit. I knew it was.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll get on into the race part here in just a second, but just like I told you, and just like I said earlier in this podcast, it's just the fact of who I am, and I have some allies, and now that I know I don't, and that's okay because I'm used to being the villain, obviously. But I it sort of irritated me a little bit just because certain individuals went to crying right from the rip. I mean, just like Twitty did. He exposed something in the rule book, went in his favor. I did it too, but I asked you at the beginning of the season, and you just got back with me, and that's the reason why I clarified it with you first. And obviously, you the the head guy in charge here, so all right, that's what we're gonna do. And and just like I told you, it's a short track. I got to start in the rear anyways. It's hell trying to get up to the front at any short track that is. And I mean, just like Healy said, I mean, patience. And that's what I was trying to have back there. And I was barely just minding my own business, just trying to pick off a car or a truck too here and there. And just that incident, I didn't say anything because I know I hit a dip and I slid up. I know I did. But I mean, I thought he was a little bit higher than what he was, and then once I went back and watched the replay, I mean, I have my own vision of what I seen afterwards and whatever. But I mean, I hate that happened because I don't want to be that guy. I'm not running for points. Like myself, obviously, I'm running for team points for the guys, but I don't want to be that guy and be like, oh well, this non-driver or non-points driver's coming here messing it up. When I just said something last week in the Discord about not regulars coming in, and messing things up. So that was clearly not the point, and obviously I wasn't doing anything on purpose. I mean, hell, we're all fighting for the same real estate, and it is short track racing. I'm not going to use that as an excuse, but short track racing shit's going to happen. I mean, that's just how it is. It don't matter how good you are, how perfect you are. I mean, hell, it happens to NASCAR drivers every time they get on the damn track. So, with that being said, it sucks. I mean, I really, honest to God, hate that it happened, but at the same time, you know, I wasn't the bad guy there. I don't feel. It's just like I said, just something that happens. So
Ely, you want to weigh in?
Yeah. All right. So from where I'm sitting, I don't have a dog in this fight. And I've heard what you guys have said about the rules and how Keith maybe found a loophole like maybe Twitty did last season. From where I'm sitting, so taking the charters and everything out of the equation, which I guess you can't truthfully do, I think most guys are thinking about it in this way, and that is that if you're racing down from an upper series, you get one race. And I would imagine that is what most people have interpreted that rule as, because we've not had someone with multiple charters ever try to race down multiple times before. And frankly, a lot of these truck guys are not racing up in different series like I am, for example. So they might not even know that Keith is on a different team and different series or whatever. And I'll be honest, from where I'm sitting, I like you're on Cornerstone in one series and NLR internet. I want you to tell me because I'm not sure. I don't.
NLR is my actual personal
Yes.
team,
Yes.
but that's just for the truck guys, like
Okay.
Peyton and Jeremy and stuff like that.
Okay.
But as far as like Xfinity and Cup, it's Cornerstone, Weaponized, Hell, they're all together. So that's how that worked.
Okay. So you race down once as NLR and you race down once as Weaponized. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. So, and I'm trying to play devil's advocate here to keep this entertaining. So, a Keith or a guy from any series, if he is I guess you're the team owner of the NLR Truck Series team, correct?
Mhm.
So a guy that just pays their charter, whether he runs in any other series or not, he can run one race for them, correct?
Wait, what now?
So
if he has a charter in Xfinity and doesn't meet truck rules, right? He gets a race down. If he has a charter in Cup, and doesn't meet truck specifications, he gets a race down.
I was looking at it as teams, not versus a charter and Cup versus a charter Xfinity. That makes it make more sense because
since Dickhead here has a charter in Xfinity and Cup,
so he gets a I get it. He gets an
Never-
Xfinity race down. He gets a Cup race down.
Right. We never
Right.
had this. We've never had it before because most guys don't race two. They race one and
And that's it. Because
that's
they're
it. Hell, some of them that are lower I rating will race up to help help fill the field like sub 1500.
You can race up as much as you want though.
Right. Exactly. There's nothing against it. Which is kind of like what I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with this whole thing is. I don't know. Like I understand like a little bit of the frustration, but it's not a playoff race yet. We're still early in the season. The way you can look at it now is you don't have to worry about the MF coming back anymore. Silver lining, he can't race anymore. Like it's overdone. Moving on. Like he's used all so you don't have to worry about him coming and taking a race from another series if that's or from at another time if that's what you're worried about in that series. Where do we go next week? I don't even know where the hell we're at.
Kansas.
Damn, Kansas. So
good old fashioned mile and a half.
Yeah, a mile and a half race next week. I mean, we've had back to back short tracks, so I'm sure that doesn't help with tensions and tempers and everything. But he asked me months ago if he could do this, and I told him, let me get back to you because I technically and to be honest with you, I kind of just thought he would forget about it because I didn't have a rule for it, and I really didn't know at the time because there wasn't a rule for it. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna have to make one now.
Yeah, because there's
thanks.
Again, I'm playing devil's advocate, but there are two ways to look at it. Yeah, I get that you get a race down per upper series. I understand that now. I didn't understand that earlier, but the rule book also says that a higher series driver gets one race down. Technically, Keith is two upper series drivers because he's running both of those full time.
I need to reword that because it doesn't.
Yeah, there's gray area there, and that's why. And I knew it as soon as Keith was in the race. If he was involved in any incident, when Ron said what he said over the radio, I already knew that it was coming. I'm sure there were 30 other drivers that knew it was coming as well, because everybody's interpretation outside of the charter shit, because let's be honest, that's not the most important thing. Like, yeah, we want to get our team points and get that payout, but like we're racing for championships. And when you're thinking through that individual thought process, you're like, this guy's raced down once. He's done. So I get both.
Let me ask this, based somewhat off of Keith's situation. Me as another driver who's racing Xfinity and Cup Series, does that also allow me another start in the trucks if my team were to need a substitute?
Correct.
It does. Okay.
You've opened the floodgates, Jason.
Well, there is no.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. He's the first MFer to do it, so he opened the floodgates.
I'm a trendsetter.
Well, he walked up to the floodgates, and you opened them up.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
I guess.
Go ahead, Jason.
No, go ahead.
Well, the reason I ask that is just for my own clarity, I guess, because without there being any kind of precedent beforehand, just for myself and anybody else who may be wondering, that might be a question.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole point of it is if anybody wants, it's not just Keith allowed to do it. Anyone, he just happens to be the one that did it first and thought of it. So I mean,
let me throw this out there. This isn't me necessarily. So let's say, because I'm racing 2 series, let's say there is a sole. All this guy does is race truck series, and he might be new to this league. He might have been around for a while, but to that guy, it might feel like every single week that there is a Cup or Xfinity guy that's coming down at their favorite track that is potentially stopping them from getting what they think that maybe they deserve. And I can say this personally from last season, which it was inside of the rules, but how damn mad I was that Aaron Smith came down and like ruined my Coda race for me, which again, that was inside of the rules, but when you allow people, when you give them, I guess, more than one race and they're with the car count that we have now, it can feel in the truck series like every week you got a Kyle Busch coming down basically to get in the way of someone locking themselves in the playoffs.
So the way we fix it then is we just stop it altogether. I mean, if that's how it's going to have to, if everyone's going to look at it that way, we're going to have to just completely stop it. And then when car count starts dropping off and we start ending up having 15 or 10 people, then I mean, nobody needs to bitch or cry then, because that's what's,
Yep. And
Okay.
I'm just playing both sides of the coin.
I know
here.
what
I'm
you're
just
saying, but I'm just trying to, I'm using an example. If we stop letting people race up, down, whatever, and just say, okay, you're signed up for this series, that's all you can do. All right, let's be real for a second. They don't do, that's not what it is in real life, right? That's not how it works. We amended it to be a little more sim friendly or whatever. So, and we made it so that there's, they technically have one race down per charter or whatever. I mean, it doesn't say per charter, which is my bad. So, and that's where that's the gray area again, like where he gets, drivers from a higher series maybe use one time and are required to start back. So he's from a driver from a higher series, and it's technically, if it should have said, I don't know, it should say drivers get one time period. I don't know, man.
Wait,
Okay.
well, go ahead, Keith. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So here's my thing. Like, I mean, I can use NASCAR for an example, or I'll just use dirt track for an example. Okay. Obviously, like Scott Bloomquist, Jonathan Davenport, they some of the best to ever do it on dirt. All right. So if I'm racing locally and, just locally every week, and them guys show up, yes, they're going to be the man to beat. I mean, that's just how it is. But you proving yourself that you can run with them and or beat them, dude, that's something to grow off of. Like, and I'm not, and leading that on into this, like, obviously I'm not Aaron Smith, dude. He's an animal. But at the same time, if one of just the regular guys could at least run with him, or there again, just happen to beat him at the end of the day, I mean, how you think they're going to feel after the race? Like, damn, like, I just
100
did this
times
shit.
better. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
will.
like, you're only as good as who you race against, man. And I'm not saying that I'm just tremendous, but am I pretty decent? Yeah, absolutely. Do like, as far as for myself, do I help, like, maybe, like, make people drive like harder or better? Absolutely. Hell, even with my teammates. I mean, weekly. That's just how it is. But I hate that it's come to that. Just everybody just starts bitching like right from the get go. I mean, I knew it was going to happen as well as soon as I loaded in the damn practice session, went top of the boards. Like, I knew it, and I wasn't even trying. I was just sitting there just turning laps. And so when Jason pulled me to the side after the drivers meeting, I'm just like, man, here we go. I was getting ready for him to tell me, hey, man, I'm not going to let you run. But, he laid the
So
law.
here's I'm going to take one little section, and this is part of why maybe some people perceive you the way they do. And you and I feel like good buddy. I'll talk to you about anything. I don't dislike you at all, like some other people do. But then when you say, "Oh, I was in practice, I wasn't even trying," like people are going to take that the wrong way. And maybe you didn't mean it like that, but there are people that will focus in on, "Oh, I wasn't trying, but I was still first fastest," and that's how you get guys that are every dude you come across is going to run you all the way up to the wall, run you down to the line, and not have any, maybe kind of throw some etiquette out the window. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a fault on either side, but when you've come in and you had success right off the rip, and you've moved up and you're still having success, maybe not as much as you did in the truck series, but still very much in contention in both series, people will start micro analyzing every little thing you say, and that's adding fuel to the fire.
Okay, but that should also give you motivation to do better.
I will bounce off of that. I would say, as far as the truck series is concerned, the more drivers you have coming down a series to race in the truck series is going to push those truck series drivers to better their skill set and be able to compete with those guys that come down. And in return, betters the lower series and helps promote those guys up.
Well,
But
I used to get so mad when Kyle Busch used to go down and race the trucks. I'm not gonna lie, I really did.
I fucking bet you did.
I did. I did. But as time went on, I understand why. It was obviously whatever practice, whatever he needs. But at the same time, you know, it's pushing them guys, like, and it's bringing ratings up, like, on
Mhm.
TV. I mean, it's all around is I think it's a good thing, and just throwing that off over on this side of things, like, I think it's the same way. I mean, you got guys that don't run with these guys every week. Okay, well, they're coming down. This is a chance for all the truck guys to prove what the hell they've been doing week in and week out for the season. But when I mean, not saying me, I'm just talking about anybody in general, but when somebody comes down to race and you just automatically start bitching, like, right from the rip, I mean, like, what are you doing? Are you really helping the series or are you hurting the series?
So, and I don't disagree with anything you've said, and what I'm gonna say is not necessarily your fault at all, because I'm the kind of guy that loves this shit and any kind of form of competition. But to some people, you like what I zeroed in on earlier, where people are going to zero in on that one thing you said. They're going to think that you're just coming down and trying to prove some kind of point because you weren't allowed to race in the truck series this season, or things like that. And there's multiple ways to take it, and I'm trying to play both sides here just to get all of the opinions out there. But it's I mean, you come here, you pay bills with some of this shit. Like, you're making good money, not just of our league, but like, I see the success you have in the dirt racing and everything, and making money on races. And for a lot of guys, they're just doing it for fun and they want to feel like they have a shot. And when they see Keith Hackney or Kyle Busch or what have you come down, they're like, well, fuck, what am I even doing? I'll go race another league where this thing doesn't happen. So there, and I'm not saying that's okay either, because when I'm racing door to door with you, I'm like, well, I got to show this guy that I've learned a couple things, and he can't just scan on by like I'm just some also ran. And not everybody looks at it like that.
Same here. From week one back at Pocono in the Xfinity race, me and Keith were teammates, and both ran very well that race. And I knew from that point that Keith was a guy that I needed to match as far as talent and stuff like that. And I pushed myself to be somebody who can run with Keith at any given time. And even being a rookie to the series, that helps me push myself to be better in these races. And I feel like that carries over into those smaller series as well.
I mean, I want the smaller series, like the guys in the trucks. Like, so there's some of these guys, they've been here in the trucks now since the inception of the trucks, since the trucks were started. I mean, at some point, the trucks are
Gotta
supposed
go.
to be a
You gotta
beginner.
go.
Trucks are beginners. Like, we're supposed to,
Mhm.
supposed to be a feeder series for the other two. Like, we want new people coming in and turning that wheel. And some of those guys I know are going to that's probably their skill set. They're probably going to be stuck there for a while. But then you get some of the faster guys that have been there for a minute, and then the trucks have really developed their skill set. I mean, Wes Wiggin is one of them. The dude and Dan Worthington, both those guys have hats off to both of them. They've developed their skill set as quadrupled, I would say, from the time that we started this thing. We're in season 4. So I would wager to say that, they're some within the top 5 drivers easily every week. I mean, the points kind of stand out and show it. Bobby Hall, another one. He,
In flex, baby.
I know why those guys are upset. Like, I know why they're upset. I get it. Like, and the thing is, when somebody comes down in races like this and takes something away, well, I don't see it as they're taking anything away because it's going right back to the series. They're not taking anything other than points. I get that, maybe they want those points. It's at the end of the day, 1 point or something,
Tonight, I made zero money tonight off a second place finish.
Exactly.
Where did it go?
To the pot.
Okay,
back.
but I feel like some of the guys who are mad, which I don't know all the guys are mad, but I kind of have a feeling, but I do know some. How are you going to get mad? Say, for example, that one of the guys that dropped down, they steal the win. Okay, cool. How are you going to sit there and complain about points that you wasn't going to have because either you're like back in 15th or 16th or 2 laps down or whatever the case is? Like, you can't get mad at that. I mean, that guy, whoever it was just better than you that night. I mean, I think that's what it all comes down to. But going back to what Jason said, talking about, had guys in the truck series from the get go, that they've developed, and that's great. I mean, that's what we all here to do. But I'm gonna speak on myself right here. I didn't get a chance to do that. I was forced to grow up and move up to the Xfinity and Cup Series just because of, I guess, people, they thought my skill set was higher than theirs. Not necessarily, because I've only ran 2 truck leagues before Bluegrass. That's it. Maybe 3 seasons. That's all I've ran. Like, I don't run asphalt. That's not my specialty. I didn't really have a care for it until I moved or started running Bluegrass, just because I like the way it's ran. I do like the competition, because now I know, how can I say this without being pinpointed, but I know, me moving up to Xfinity and Cup, I'm not the man to beat every week, if that makes sense.
That's what it's all about. And to kind of build off of that, and this is not an indictment of our league or this series or anything. It's more an indictment of trucks as a whole on iRacing. That is as far as most people go, because once you get the trucks and you get in the higher splits, you can get good competition there, and then you never have to go learn another car. Why go learn another car when I'm already having fun? And that's not on us, or it's really not even iRacing's fault. It's just that first series where you can start getting good competition and you can really start honing your skill and like really adapting to this single vehicle. And that's like, I know there are a ton of people that look at me like I'm crazy when I say how much I like driving that next gen car, because I know a lot of people hate it. I enjoy it personally, but once you get so used to driving the trucks, and even Xfinity too, Xfinity is more similar to trucks, but the Cup car is such a huge departure from how those things drive on any track, whether it's dirt, short track, super speedway, anything. It's such a different thing that people look at it as like, I'm already having fun down here. Why should I go drive this weird car that's different in any way when I could just have fun doing what I'm doing right now?
And
Go ahead.
that's how I was with the Xfinity car. I've ran leagues before coming to Bluegrass. I ran Gen 6 Cup Series. I ran Truck Series, and a season or two of the Xfinity Series. And the Xfinity Series is where I struggled really hard at first, because I did not know how to drive the car and how to save tires and make your forward progress last as time went on. And I started to figure it out. Thought I had a pretty good grip of it, and some things happened, and I ended up here at Bluegrass, and that was the initial series that I wanted to be in. And I was used to racing on Tuesday nights. I saw Wednesday nights for Cup Series also. The next gen I wasn't too crazy about, but I was like, you know what? I'm already used to having something to do on Wednesday nights. I'll run the next gen as well. And finding success in the Xfinity car by teaching myself how to run the Xfinity car has pushed me into wanting to learn how to drive the next gen car and find success in the next gen car as well. And that's something also I believe that can carry over from trucks and then through the progression of all the other series.
Well, you said some Healy talking about, when you focus on one card like so you can hone your skills, and which I agree, I do to a certain point.
You hone your skills in that car.
Right.
You tailor it to that
Yeah, to that.
series. Yeah.
Okay, but this is where I have to disagree
Right.
just a little is the fact that, like, as far as I don't want to speak on myself. I'll speak on my team, like my actual dirt team, dude. We can race anything on dirt, like no matter what the car is. For most part, sprints kind of struggle, but uh, but
That's a whole different thing.
yeah, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, like, for the most part, like anything on dirt, we can hop in rallycross. Peyton's good on road, like, and then obviously with the cup stuff here, I think you like actually venturing out to run all these different cars. I really think that really sets you up to where you need to be. And
Hmm.
I ran a league race on dirt last night actually, and I won that race. The track was completely slick, completely black. But I'm gonna tell you what, dirt didn't help me with that race. Asphalt helped me with that race because you have to be so patient and
Hmm.
just because and take care of your car. Just because obviously in asphalt you get any kind of damage, you're pretty much screwed. And so I've took that on into the dirt side and vice versa. I've took what I've learned on the dirt side to the asphalt side, and I just think everything just it all combines as a whole to
Comes
really
full
just
circle.
hone you as a driver. That way you're versatile. Like you can run this, you can run that, you can no matter if there's like a money race or just a league race, like, okay, well, they're running this car. Damn, I don't got that much experience, but I do got some, so I know what I'm doing. And so that's the way I think that's the way these guys should maybe start looking at things and start doing things instead of just focusing on one thing. There's so many things on here to run. And so instead of just focusing on one, run different things to help you as a driver, like to further on your progress as it comes. So
There, there is that, and to build off of that as well, we all pay whatever 10, 11, 12 bucks a month for iRacing. I think that if you are limiting yourself to one specific series in one specific discipline, you're not getting your money's worth. And I'm not going to say that I'm the greatest rally driver or Pro 2 truck driver or any of that shit. But dude, if you go out there and run, C class Ferrari Challenge, or you go run Pro 2 lights, or go run the TCR front wheel drive cars, like all of that stuff, and I'm not saying it translates one to one, and like you were saying, but you get these different skills when you find yourself in different scenarios that allow you to react and be better. Like I know, like I'm the big coda guy. I make a big fucking deal out of coda or whatever, but like
Coda's
I
badass.
I enjoy, yeah, okay. But I enjoy road racing. I'm not going to tell you I'm the best at it, but like if I just go out there
Fun.
and like turn laps, like it's fun. I do this stuff in real life for fun. I'm not Lewis Hamilton. I'm not Chase Elliott, but it's fun. And if you can begin to find joy in not not necessarily winning races in the beginning, but just improving yourself
Find joy
as a
in what you're
driver.
not as great at.
Yep. And you're just getting a little bit better. It just teaches you about car control in different situations, whether it's on dirt or asphalt or in the air, in a truck, in a car, front wheel drive, rear wheel drive. All that stuff applies in certain ways that will benefit you elsewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're not wrong. I want to make a so I think our guest next week is going to be Dan Worthington. I just want to cover that real quick. I think that we should probably have. I want to have
Equal representation.
I want to have Dan on to talk about his. All right, so I was trying to explain before about Dan. He'll be on with us as our guest for next week. Next week we go to Kansas. We still have this week's truck or Xfinity Cup to run. Tomorrow is Tuesday, so obviously we'll be running Xfinity. What are your thoughts on Xfinity tomorrow night? What do you guys think is going to go down? Is it going to be worse than tonight with our trucks? Obviously we had a lot of cautions tonight. It was
15.
Yep, 15 cautions, man. That's a bit.
And
One
I
every
needed
10
one more.
laps.
What, Keith?
And I said I needed one more because I ran out of fuel. And it's sort of ironic that the both drop down races I run, I'm either close on fuel or I run out. Ain't that some shit?
You should have came with me and got that splash.
You're just feeding the conspiracy theorists, man.
Keith,
You
I'll
gotta
tell you
make-
now. I didn't want to tell you during the race, but where I was saving that extra fuel was clutching and rolling down the backstretch. Yeah.
Yep. He don't even want to hear it.
At one point, Blake was all over your back bumper. What were you thinking? Did you think he was going to get to you and use the bumper, or and Blake, what were you thinking? Like, what was going on with
Well, I told him in Discord that I wasn't trying to push it so hard, but when I realized he was about to beat my back bumper off at the end, I started driving a little bit harder, and I think that's why I ran out of fuel.
I think, yeah.
I wasn't gonna, being a
I-
teammate, I wasn't going to use him up, but I was going to run him pretty hard. I wanted to beat you pretty good. I wanted to win that race, and I was very disappointed whenever I came sputtering out of 4. But
I can tell both of you if my teammate didn't give me my last 4Xs to where I had to drive soft, I was gonna send whoever was on the inside into who was on the outside. When I restarted P3, I was gonna fuck it. I was gonna send you.
we were strategically planning for that. Don't worry.
I figured because you had you two, and then I had Peyton on me out on the outside. I was like, I can't win for losing up here right now, but if I had some X's to give there, I was going to give them to you.
I want to touch base on this real quick. Drew Prohl had a really good run tonight. Drew had his best run of the year, and this is what he started 16th and he ended up finishing P5. But Drew spun the tires on one of those restarts. I feel like if he was on fresh tires, I don't know if he was in second gear or what, but he spun the shit out of them tires. I feel like if he doesn't spin the tires there and hold everybody up, I think we either have another yellow for one potentially happen, or I think some of those guys that were on fresh tires that were behind you all probably have a better shot, because Taylor ends up getting EOL and still comes back and finishes 4th because Peacock was also on freshies there for a minute, and I think that kind of had played a little factor in everything. What?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what happened to Drew. Kostritza got into the back of him on that restart. That's what got him sideways.
Oh, I didn't see that. See,
Yeah, see, we was in after the race. We was in Discord. He come in there and they was watching it, and Kostritza got on the throttle just a split second quicker than Drew did, and that's what happened.
okay.
So,
I mean,
but
Sean had a good run tonight too, though. But he started P3 and finished P3, so Sean's
yeah.
been solid all season.
But the tire fall off wasn't that bad there. I mean, I
Nothing.
remember,
Nothing.
because I remember from when last season, if I'm not mistaken, I only pitted once, and that was at the stage, and that's what I was trying to do this time. But I was trying to play track position, so me and Blake pitted right before the stage, and that's how we was up there. If we would have pitted at the stage, yeah, we would have been good for the end. But
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
And with our penalties, that was kind of our card to play as well. But the fuel save track position strat at National Fairgrounds, no matter what series you run, always wins. I've seen it 1,000 times, because you're going to have cautions. It doesn't matter what group you're in, what series you run, you're going to have cautions at National Fairgrounds. It's one of those tracks.
It's a real. I love the track.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, I do too.
Fun as hell, fun track. I know a lot of people don't like it, but
things.
I wish
It's just
iRacing put dirt on it.
Somebody else said that. Was that you that said that the other day? Me and you was talking about. I guess it was.
That'd be the perfect track for that.
Too much of a good thing is a bad thing.
Healy, you had a solid finish, P6. I mean, I feel like 26 to 6 is not bad. I mean,
yeah, all things considered, I had to play it pretty safe at the end. I rolled like the last 30 laps with 16X. I got put in some bad spots, and I wasn't able to press the issue like I would have wanted to. I think I could have pulled at least the top 3 out of it, if not have tried to make it real interesting for Blake and Keith and their team and all that. But I can't be mad at it. And Fairgrounds is a track like I kind of dread coming to it, but then once I get into the rhythm and I figure out the tire wear and everything and get on
nice.
schedule, that it's not as bad as I make it out to be in my mind.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I understand why people don't like it because we get messy races like we had tonight, but that is really any short track, whether it's Fairgrounds, Wilkesboro, Martinsville, Bristol, like short track racing is
Gateway.
messy. Gateway even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know this is a thing that I've proposed to you before and it got shot down, and maybe rightly so, but I think at a track like that where you're using guys' bumper, not necessarily kill the incident limit, but maybe give us a little bit more to play with. But I'll leave that in your hands.
I know what you're saying, but the thing is that we've had that proposition before, and we've done something with that already before, and it doesn't change anything, man.
I'm sure it just ratchets us up to the next limit.
It exacerbates the issue. It makes the racing way, way worse, actually, because then they're like,
Hey, Keith. I see that you don't know what that word is, so spell exacerbate for me.
Sounds like masturbate, but
so
he failed.
What ends up happening is, like, I think we raised the incident limit once before,
like the 25 or something.
25 or 28. I can't remember, something like that. It was a lot higher, and that was like early on, season 1, season 2. But what ends up happening is guys are like, oh, I can get 28 incidents. I can get 28 incident points before I get a penalty or I get DQ'd or whatever. And it's like, just, it doesn't change anything, man. I mean, if we hadn't already tried it,
it just kind of delays it.
The unfortunate thing about those short tracks is that they hand out those 4Xs like they're candy.
Yeah,
they sure do. I had a couple where they weren't big hits, but I got 4Xs for them, and that's what didn't allow me to drive you guys as aggressively as I wanted to at the end. But we're all playing by the same rules, and which I don't think Keith got as affected as I did. But when you start in the back, and I did that to myself. If I didn't have to do that, I probably wouldn't have been in that spot to start with. So that's how it goes.
Travis Twitty and George Gibbs had top 10s tonight, 8th and 9th respectively. That's a good night for those guys. I mean, they started in the back and only had 8 and 4. I mean, and then you look at Bobby, he's got 28 and he started P4. You know, and Allen had where was Duranco? He had 24 and started P9, and then Taylor had 20, Peacock had 20 and started 8. I mean, it's just like, I know not all of them are their fault and shit like that. I get that, but you know, Wes had 20.
I think I had 4.
Gary had 16. Yeah, you had 4, and you came from 25th.
Dead last.
Technically dead last because I EOL'd you. So
you're back there. We started side by side.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and Drew,
I heard you revving the shit out of that thing.
Drew only had 8, and he came from 16th. I don't know, man. I felt like it was just,
as a wise man once said, the prophet Randy Savage, the cream rises to the top.
Rises to the top.
Yeah.
The cream always rises to the top.
Oh, or something else. That's all I can say
about
that.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
We got anything?
I'm glad you had 16X, even though I didn't know during the race, because if I would have got to you that last lap, we was going for a ride.
Oh, I saw, because I saw how your line was. I was kind of running a groove outside of what you're running, and I saw what you're doing. I was like, God, if Keith gets here, I'm gonna cuss this man after this race. And luckily you didn't.
I finished the race with 12. And what disappoints me is that I didn't throw it up in front of Peyton, block him when I was out of fuel, and take that extra 4X to win the race.
That's a good thing you didn't, though.
Any less of a racer would have done that. But
hey, you go back a couple weeks, and you go by the man Jason Bridges said, I got some X's to use. I'm gonna use them. Damn it.
That's right.
True. All right. So, anything else we need to touch base on or cover before we do some picks for the rest of the week?
What about NASCAR getting started up this weekend? Busch Clash this weekend.
Boy, I'm ready because
Damn.
my Bengals lost and I need
So
NASCAR.
ready.
Which again, fantasy league, Bluegrass fantasy league, everyone sign it. $10, winner takes all. It just makes watching that. It just adds another dimension to it. You gotta, when your favorite driver gets wrecked, you got other shit to root for. So I highly recommend it. Come hang out, talk shit with the boys. Who you pick this week? Let's do the damn. I think we got 7 or 8 right now, which is fine. But I'd like to have 30 or 40 of you guys, preferably.
Oh,
That
do
would
you have
make
that-
it better. I need to get that done and get signed up. When are we doing the draft?
So I'll explain it again. There is no draft.
Okay.
Every race you pick 5 drivers, and you can only use a driver through the regular season, I think 20 times. So through a 36 race season, you can't pick, Hendrick Motorsports, all 4 drivers and one other guy every single week. You got to be smart about
can
it.
people pick the same guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's a based on like who scores the most out of like
Out of
their
your
picks.
5.
Okay.
Yep, out of your 5. And then on top of the 5 guys you pick, there are 4 matchups that are generated by NASCAR every week. Like last year, for example, there were a couple weeks where like one of the matchups was Denny Hamlin or Ross Chastain, and you pick who you think is going to finish higher in that race. So for the 5 guys you pick, you can get a maximum of however many drivers in the field. So 40 car field, your guy wins, you get 40 points, and you get their stage points as well. And then for the matchups, like I was talking about, if you pick correctly in the matchup, it's 10 points per correct pick, and your points tally at the end of the season. I don't do that. The app does that, so you don't have to worry about my drunk ass doing it. And at the end, one of you guys will, if we have enough, it'll pay for your whole next season, and you're done.
Well, I'll go ahead and tell you I want in on that, and every week I'm picking Stewart Haas Racing.
That's
I
right.
just sent you my entry, by the way.
My man. That's what.
Or
Oh, I was just playing. I'm a Hendrick guy.
oh my,
Of course,
kick
you're
him
a
out.
Hendrick guy.
Kick him out.
All right. We got to go over the points real quick for trucks since we haven't done that yet. And then it'll be time to do some picks and call this thing a wrap. All right. So,
Yes, sir.
Your boy Peyton Hubbard is sitting in P1, 383 points. He's 43 points above P2. Bobby Hall Jr., he's coming in as a new P2. 1 point above Wes Wiggin, who's in P3. Wes is currently tied. I'm sorry, 10 points. He's 10 points ahead of Sean Kostritza, who just moved up 2 spots. Alex, you stayed even in 5th with 321. Cody Anderson gained a spot at 310. Lucas Lyons gains a spot. He's 307. Jonah Colbert. Again, Jonah, I am so freaking sorry I did that, man. He drops 4 spots into 306, which, he only got last place points because I freaking DQ'd the guy like an idiot.
Brutal.
Great job, Jason.
Barrett Morton is
what a killer.
Barrett Morton's in P9, 303. Cody Verrill, 289 with your 10th place. Tyler Evans is sitting in your 11th place at 287. Sean Kaiser is at 277 and 12th. Alan Duranco is 13th plus 5 with a good finish tonight. I know Alan's been having a rough go of it, but I think that moving into 13th after a decent finish tonight, with 273. So those guys are pretty close in that area. So, and that's the thing about the points is you may have a few bad weeks, but you just don't give up, man. You just got to stick with it and keep rolling.
Grind it out. Gotta grind it out.
Dustin Ronstedt in 14th right now with 272. Like I said, again, these points are super tight. Dan Worthington's in 15th at 265. And then 16th is Brian Terry, 262. You got Jeremy Vaughn with 255. Technically, he's already locked in. Ed Osborne, 251. He moved up a spot. Fernando moved up a couple spots. Looks like he's at 251 now. Drew Prohl, 248. Devin Scroggins, 248. He's in 20th. Taylor Peacock with he's your last guy that has a win who's sitting outside the top 16, which would knock out Dan and Brian at the moment. Taylor has 243 points, but he's got that win to lock himself in, and he's sitting in 22nd at the moment. David Brackett's sitting in 23rd, moved up a spot, 218. Ron Morris is 216. Travis Twitty moved up forward, 216. Tied with Ron. George Gibbs moved up 3. He's in 26 with 211, and Will Weber dropped 2 with 199. That's your top 27. Ronnie Shirk is in 28th with 196. Michael Cole, 177 and 29th. And Mark Gilbert rounds out your top 30 with 165, which I don't think he'll be running. I don't know if he's still running or not. He didn't run tonight. He was pretty upset last week about some stuff. But there's definitely some winners that are not in that top 16. Some guys that have Ronnie Shirk jumps out to me as somebody who could potentially win one of these upcoming races. And then, of course, you have your Daytona race. That's a crapshoot. Anybody can win that one at the end of the season. There's definitely reason for guys to stick around and work through it. And hopefully we see something happen is all I can say. I've seen crazier things happen, but I definitely think some of these guys have a potential to make a run back for it. And we'll see if they come in and stick it out. All right. So we got to do Xfinity and Cup picks. Alex, you want to start us off?
You're going to put me right on the hot seat, huh?
Right away.
So I've got her pulled up here, and short track, it's kind of like a super speedway where, you're kind of pulling the hand on a slot machine. But I really want to pick Michael Robinson so bad, but I'm not going to do that to him. I'm not going to do it to him. Because if I don't pick him, he has a chance. And even though I don't know this man, I'm rooting for him. What I should do is pick Blake because he's sitting right here.
You know how that goes.
Oh, man. Here's what I'm going to do. Since I'm off of probation now, for my next truck race, I'm going to pick Tyler Evans.
Wait.
Weapon.
For your...
No, I'm picking him for this race. I'm picking him for Xfinity. But I know that maybe Tyler's had some issues with me, and he might have given me some protests when he wasn't necessarily involved. But Tyler, if you're listening, I'm giving you the good juju tonight, my friend. I know that you're a Bengals fan, and at our hearts, we are one with the Tiger, and I am going to propel you to first place.
All right. So Tyler's your pick. Let's go ahead and wrap it around to Blake, and then Keith, and I'll go last.
National Fairgrounds and the Xfinity car.
Pick yourself.
I'm gonna go with the guy sitting below me. He ran really good in the truck race tonight. I'm gonna give it to Keith.
Keith, what you got?
You ready for this one?
My God, could you see the satisfaction on Keith's face when he just got his taint licked live and on air? I can't hardly stand this right now. I'm about to back out of this shit.
Drum roll.
Scrap it. It's trash.
You're gonna love this one. Who I pick?
Oh, I know who it is already.
For the Xfinity winner.
I know it.
My arch rival, Adam Lancaster.
This is
the week he gets to take down the Grim Reaper.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh shit! I don't even know, man. Like, I think it's probably going to be... Who have I not picked yet? I'm going to pick...
It feels like a pretty good Radburn week to me, personally.
Radburn is... I want to go with somebody else, but I think... Yeah, I'm going to go Radburn. Screw it.
I was going to do that. He's due for one.
Yeah.
He is due.
I was going to pick Mo, but I think Radburn's got it. All right, Cup Series.
On to Cup.
Who wants to start us off on Cup?
I think Blake's got to go.
Nah, not me.
Pole position, buddy. It's your time to shine. I'm putting it on you.
Put you on the spot. Let's hear it.
I'll tell you, I'm going to be a two-way tie between.
No, hell no. Hell no.
You gotta pick one.
All right, pick one. GT Hawkins, 14 car.
Solid pick.
GT. Yep.
Keith.
You know, this is the week that I say my good buddy, Alex Huffman.
I was about to pick him, but now I'm going to wreck him.
Keely, who you got?
Damn, now I got to go back to the drawing board. It takes patience.
Skill strategy.
It takes strategy.
It'll be whoever patient enough to ride the back for a while and wait on the everybody else to wreck out.
This isn't the first time I've picked him.
I already know you're gonna fucking pick. That's
Jason,
2 F-bombs.
When you I'm on like 6 or 7. When you think patience and the Cup Series, who comes to mind?
A couple people. Brian Terry for one.
Well, he is patient. Yeah. But
Nick Mills.
You're all over the place, man. I'm talking about the most patient, level-headed.
Oh, Matt Grenier, yeah.
Yep, Matt Grenier. Nothing will get to him.
If I don't get into his left rear.
If you get into his left rear, I'm going to send you to Clarksville, buddy.
Brandon Robertson.
I almost went that way too. That's 2 YNH Motorsports fellas there.
YNH balling this week
with them hot paint schemes.
And if you haven't listened, if you haven't checked out the broadcast, make sure you guys check it out because they talk about those beautiful paint schemes on the broadcast so often. Those guys are doing a fantastic job on the broadcast. Gotta give my hats off to Steve and the boys. UDTV, yeah. Steve McMillian and BJ Duvall. Special guest Mikey Neal was in the booth with them again tonight. Mikey killed it as usual. So those guys are doing a fantastic job. They're doing stuff that no other broadcast team is doing. So if you haven't already watched our broadcast, go check it out on YouTube. It's a Bluegrass iRacing series. It's on YouTube, Facebook. Let's go ahead and thank those beautiful sponsors. Alex, you did a wonderful job last week doing that. Let's go ahead and put you on the hot seat again.
Beautiful sponsors that I have.
Thank those sponsors one more time for us, buddy.
I'll do it. Also on the broadcast, you said no other broadcast does what they do. No other broadcast uses Fergie's vocals from the NBA All-Star game from like 4 years ago when she cannot sing the national anthem. As a veteran personally, I really appreciate that shit because it means nothing to me. It's just a stupid song. Sponsors! Kinder Performance Group, John Kinder, the OG, the legend. Holler at your boy. Huffman Designs, that guy does Photoshop and things like that to make designs that I couldn't even fathom because I do it with trading paints because I suck. Scott Fritz also does stuff like that. If you want paint schemes that are good, talk to those guys. Don't talk to me. If you want a shitty one for free, you can talk to me. If you want a good one for like $2 or $3 or whatever they charge you, it's probably worth it.
Probably.
But kicker, it will kick you square in the ass. That's all I got to tell you. Red Rocket Buildings and Barbecue. I like buildings and I like barbecue, so they do that shit that I like. Elevated Outdoors, I like to get high when I'm outside. Let's go.
and don't forget WJM.
WJM, oh, that's the last one right there. WJM, they sponsor like 973 drivers in our league. And boy, good for them. It seems like a good team to be a part of. I can't wait to
Solid
beat
group of
every
guys.
single one of them.
All right, guys. I think that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. That's Alex. That's Blake. That's Keith. I'm Jason. We'll see you next time.
3-1. Let's go.